Hey, welcome everybody to another episode of The Art of the Dog. Today's my guest, Mr. Luke. Luke being the name of my second book. It's about time I got you here as a guest. Good job, buddy. Welcome everybody to another episode of The Art of the Dog. Well, it's springtime. Actually, it feels like summer in Western New York. So here we are with Shorts and Luke out with me. He's going to be my co-host today. Luke is my wonder dog. He's actually the name of the second book. It's a follow-up to The Art of the Dog, but guess who it's about? It's about my co-host Luke here. Luke and I have an interesting story. Luke was the product of a puppy mill gone bad. The reason I brought Luke today is because a follow-up to our last episode, which was about overbreeding, Luke is truly a product of a puppy mill gone bad. I'll tell you how Luke came into my life. There was a lady out in Wyoming County who at 2 o'clock in the morning was just cresting over a small knoll when the road lit up with eyeballs everywhere. She slammed on the brake thinking it was a herd of deer and was shocked when she saw 2 cages in the middle of the road, not even to the side of the road. In the middle of the road, there were 6 puppies in one, there were 7 yearlings in the other, and there was 2 tied to the outside of the cages. One that was tied to the outside of the cage chewed his rope off, and he was, of course, Luke, and he was disappeared into the bushes. Well, this lady didn't know what to do, so she called the sheriff. The sheriff asked her if she could remove the dogs from the middle of the road. She said yes, which was amazing. She picked up the kennels and put them in her minivan, and just as she was going to slide the doors closed, Mr. Luke came running out of the bushes and jumped into the truck at the last second because he didn't want to lose his pack, that was his. He was the patriarch. So she picked the dogs up, the kennels up, put them in her van and headed to the Wyoming County Animal Shelter. On the way she had to endure a dogfight, which I'm sure wasn't very pleasant. But when she got to the shelter, Justin Goodell, the animal control officer, met her there. They opened the door and of course Luke bolts right out of the van. He disappears into the dark down Route 19. Only God knows what's going to happen to him. So they took the other dogs and put them back into the shelter and everything was fine. Except for Luke. Nobody knows what happened to old Luke. The next morning, Justin got back there. There he is. He's laying at the front door. You know why? Because he still wants his pack. So she goes into the other door, walks around the building to where Luke is lying outside, opens the door, and what does Luke do? He attacks her. So she fends him off with a rabies pole, finally gets the rabies pole on him, drags him into a kennel, and puts him in for the day, I guess. But now, this is where I come into play. My job at the Wyoming County Shelter is to try to get the unadoptables adoptable. Well, Luke is not going to be any easy dog. He's acting as insane as any dog could possibly act. He was growling, he was snarling, but I figured if I'm going to get through to this guy, I'm going to have to get close. So I did crawl inside his cage with him and spent most of the time that I could for an entire week with him growling at me, snarling at me, and spitting all over me until he finally calmed down and I was able to touch him. I even had one of the volunteers there sit outside his cage and sing to him every day, some gentle songs to calm him down. He was a tough candidate. Luke wound up staying at Wyoming County Shelter for an entire year. He was such a character that he didn't even need his cage closed. It was always open. He was like the mascot for the place. And he thought he owned and run the place. But he really turned out to be a great dog. I said to Justa, the animal control officer, after a year, why don't I just take him home, find him a new home from my house? Well, I did. I found 3 great homes for Luke, and he didn't want anything to do with any of them. As it turned out, every time I found him a home, he would go home with his new forever home owners, and within 3 days I'd get a phone call saying it's not working out. He either won't come out of the kennel or he hides behind the couch. So after the 3rd episode in the 3rd home, I picked him up and he sobbed all the way back to my house. I never heard a dog sob before, but he cried and sobbed all the way to my house. So when I got home, I discussed it with my wife and said, I guess we have a dog because we can't do anything else with him. That was 7 years ago. You want to hear what a special needs dog is? Well, I got to explain first. He looked like he was maybe insane, and I do want to make a point. Just like human beings, some go insane, and some dogs can go insane. Luke wound up the sweetest, nicest dog. This is a dog who would have taken my hand off if he had a chance when I first met him. Now, Luke loves everybody, don't you, Luke? He's just easygoing. I'm not sure he knows what planet he's on half the time, but he's just an easygoing guy, and he loves everybody. You know, episode 5, we talked about inbreeding and touched a little on overbreeding and how they can be disastrous. And so my advice was to be very careful when you're shopping for your forever dog, that you do your homework. Make sure that you got a qualified and reputable breeder. Luke is a good example of how messed up these breeders can make a dog. I have no idea what his history is, but my boy Luke here has more issues than Reader's Digest. He's been with me for 7 years and he still needs help to walk upstairs. He'll walk to the bottom of the stairs and say, where's my red leash? I can't walk up the stairs without my red leash. So every night we have to put the red leash on and go through a ritual just to get old Luke to climb the stairs with me. But anyway, what I want to touch on tonight is about this overbreeding and this inbreeding. You know, I want to be honest and I want to be frank, and this is a tough subject. But sometimes, just like people, you can have a defective dog. There's such a thing as a sociopath human or insane human. You can have an insane dog and they might just lose it. And there's nothing you can really do about it. I got a call just maybe 2-3 days ago from a gentleman who's concerned and didn't know what to do because he has a pit bull who's a great dog. He's been a great dog for a 1.5 years that he's owned the dog, but all of a sudden out of the blue, the dog is aggressive to the point where he is biting the owner. Not friendly bites, not puppy bites, nasty aggressive bites. It finally got to the point where he chased the man's wife into a bedroom. She was hiding out, trying to keep away from the dog. Well, he wound up trying to work with the dog. The dog chased him all the way to the bedroom. He barely got in there when this dog was attempting to attack him. The dog had tapped the doorknob. The dog was literally biting the doorknob, trying to take it off to get in the house after his owner, into the room after where his owners was hiding out and away from him. He had to wait until the dog fell asleep later before he could even get out of that room. It's not my job to tell a client or tell anybody what they have to do or what they need to do to their dog. My job is to try and enlighten you on what you're dealing with, whether it's dangerous, whether it's strictly a liability that could cost you a fortune, whether the dog is going to be a dangerous situation for your children, your neighbors, or even you. You have to figure that out. My job is just to let you know you have a major problem.